Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh. Alright, well... I'm gonna save. And, Oh. Did I do another one? I'm kind of curious on what happens with... Actually, I'm not at all curious on what happens with Rebecca. It's probably the same as everyone else. She sees the ghost and Everett blah blah blah. What? I want more information! So she's stuck in the cell downstairs during the party? Oh boy. Well, at least she's not dead. I guess. Yeah, why don't I keep going? Let's try to go to the end of Rebecca. That's not a promise, but let's go as far as we can. So this is how it begins, or so they say. With a gentle wind drifting through wide open windows, muffled laughters, and with footsteps fading behind empty hallways and the light kiss of the afternoon sun, soon there will be a call, crossing of thresholds into the unknown. What is happening? Maybe we're off to some grand adventure or diving into another gripping mystery. One can't really tell. Who is talking here? For all I know, a hero might even come sweep me off my feet, if I'm lucky.
That's not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
Rebecca, how old are you? To think about such things? You're 29! You should stop thinking about those things. 9 years ago. Well, anyways, she is 5'5", 165 centimeters, history teacher, Scottish. She's atheist, raised Kirk. Oh, okay. She has a master's degree in education, major in European history, like stovies, which is a dish that I learned, reading in the library, going to the gym, cycling and jogging, lacrosse, and lesson plans. She's a lot more athletic than I thought. Although of Scottish descent, she grew up in Luxburn and even went to school in St. Geretti's. Oh. Her parents were professors of European history and Southeast Asian history at Luxburn University. They were often busy that forced Rebecca to be independent early on. Surrounded by books and instilled by the love for learning, she was a star pupil and was often called a teacher's pet for it. Her passion for academics leading to a career in the industry was to be expected of her. She came out of her shell in her high school years and started becoming the Spitfire she is now. Before then, Ashton was her only friend, though she found him aggravating at first. Independent and used to taking care of others, it was no surprise when she helped out the young foreigner who moves in next door. Oh, she's talking about Isabella. But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale, that is. The mild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny a fiery hue, they are all as real as they can get. As much as I want to write a little tale out of this, I'm far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what these are. Merely passing thoughts to occupy an idle mind while waiting for another busy work to end. And then again, maybe in another life, I am one, who knows? But at present, what have I and what have I chosen to be? Or what I have? Well...
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
Admittedly, the whole affair isn't exactly as grand or exciting as I had imagined as a child. If I weren't so stubborn and too passionate about the whole idea, I probably would have quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? As if in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into a neat circle against the papers I'm grading, the final bell rings. Like a dam that has opened, students begin piling out of the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I let the noise fill my ears, let my mind wander to a place far removed from all the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have come few and far between lately. Even my own home hasn't been as quiet as usually. As quiet as usual, I prefer. That's a weird sentence. Though in hindsight, the entire place hasn't been the same either since Isabella moved in next door. And if her fussing over a minor cold last week tells anything, I might as well throw any idea of solitude out of the nearest balcony, so long as she lives nearby. At the memory, my eyes automatically shift over the bottle sitting at the edge of my desk. A chuckle escapes from me as I reach for it.
A little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother Hen, she calls me, and then she says, and does the same thing right after. It's not that I'm unused to being on the receiving end of other people's worries, or I feel any sort of apprehension over her fretting. If I am to be completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be childlike one minute, then act like a responsible adult next. But there's a dissonance there, both in her actions and her words. Although she may not look like it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer, one way or another, I know these troubles have weighed down on her lately. Her face says it all, that big numpty. If she thinks I won't notice, she's got another thing coming for her. That's how she's always been. I do understand that part, loud and clear, it's just that I really rather not pass another burden onto her.
Or become one myself.
Aren't I supposed to be the one taking care of them? Though I guess that's simply one of those things people eventually grow away from once you've all started leading different lives. Not completely different, I hope. Somehow that thought makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before stranger ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my bag, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. Unknown? A small frown forms on my lips when the screen lights up and an unknown number flashes. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button. Even the voice that responds, once I do accept the call, is wholly unfamiliar.
Hello?
Oh, goodness. Finally, it connects. Hello? Is this Miss Gales? Rebecca Gales?
Rose?
Yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper.
Ah.
Briar Realty Corporation.
Briar Realty?
My frown deepens as I straighten from my chair. Something in her tone, despite sounding remarkably friendly and light, doesn't sit quite well with me. The rigid pause that follows doesn't help ease the tension that has suddenly descended either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're working together on a property at the moment, and...
The Armengard Mansion, yes. She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
This is about Isabella, actually.
She wastes no time relaying everything. The details she provided are admittedly a little vague, but enough for me to get a gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort I'm expecting, though still worrying. Especially with words panic attack and pale looking a bit sickly woven together in foreboding sentence. But as quickly as it surfaces, I stomp down on the urge to demand answers right there and then. Now isn't the proper time for useless questions. I'll find out soon enough regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some sort of comfort in knowing Isabella has someone like her to guide her, though not as much as I would have liked. After all, this is Isabella we're talking about. What are the chances she's just a bunch of excuses that she won't get sent home? High. Very high. Oh, she is so going to hear this time.
You were listed as one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but honestly, I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest. Antham's a fair distance from Luxborn. I really don't want her going off on her own. I'd do it myself, but well, you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends. I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. A few minutes ahead wouldn't hurt. I can be there in a few, 30, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
That's a long drive.
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
The faint hum of conversation echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you'll expect from a regular open house. I was skeptical at first. The house is old, not to mention its inconvenient location in Luxborn's outskirts. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour's drive away from the comforts of a city? But from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about the sale. If I didn't understand why she was so adamant, refusing my offer of help before, I think I do now, to some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going. Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. It can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, alright? That shouldn't be too hard to miss.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that girl can be.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
The whole thing ends on a surprisingly pleasant note. If only the same thing can be said for the news she brought. I allow a brief minute to pause to ease whatever tension has latched itself firmly to my nerves. No matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of it grimmer than the other, grows with each passing second I linger. Something about this whole thing, along with the sudden unease and nagging worry, screams off. Wrong. This isn't the riveting tale I've hoped to step into today. Even on the rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling on mere echoes and distant laughters. From the nearby room, melodies from a rehearsing band drifts freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'll stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk and sure as I march into Edward Hall's exit. The sooner I've confirmed Isabella's okay, the sooner I can shake off this niggling feeling. For one reason or another, what single call of all possible things has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as quickly as possible. With so much that I nearly barrel over a student by haste. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. Oh, Kylie, the haunted child. When I look down, a set of eyes bright and hopeful stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and at my attention, a grin spreads over her face. Why is it not... what? I think I found a bug. Buenos tardes, Miss Pink! Yep!
Hello, Kylie.
That is what we're going with.
You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Sorry, Miss Pink! She loosens her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems the remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her.
Just remember not to do it again, alright? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today if I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head, both her hands going to her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling out.
I made a promise.
Alright.
He said it's for Tia Luke.
Oh, something like a gift?
Like a deal.
Huh?
Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
Laughter slips free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio is a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. But if both Suarez kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, yes? At any rate, they're nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have an occasional odd streak in and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, alright?
Yeah, like talking to ghosts.
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Her face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for that crestfallen look, but as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's a place I need to be right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. But remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that, I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore.
Question. Is that the ghost? Explains the black hair.
Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy.
I think it's a ghost. I think I just found out the ghost's name.
They could be good friends too! Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore.
Oh my god, I think we found it out. Takako is the name of the ghost girl, and she's Asian descent. Explaining the black hair.
Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile even when things have taken a turn for the worst. 5 years and one will think that's enough time to know a person, but when you consider it, to think of it, all these years I've never, not even once, seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter or even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, alright?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so.
That's a thoughtful ghost. I wonder why she says that.
A small one is okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
Absolutely not.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
Absolutely not. I refuse to see Takako.
London Bridge is falling down.
She doesn't look back or
falling down,
nope.
falling down.
With a song and an
London
extra
Bridge is
spring in her
falling
steps, she
down,
bounced across.
my fair
She
lady.
bounds across the corridor with as much spirit only a child her age can have. As if the conversation has never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind the door, leaving behind strains of an old familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree, unbidden, untroubled moments like this I envy her. And as I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper at the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxborn may be a small city, but is no stranger to hellish rush hour traffic. But surprisingly, Getting out of the city today proves more than a breeze than a hassle. More of a breeze than a hassle. A relief considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through. Either the reception's really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out of the busy streets. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxborn, the estate and the nearby Anselm village stand at its complete opposite. Living and breathing the songs of the old, whispers of once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. A heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out. Though some still linger, it's mainly just to take photos of the house's facade or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathering at the foyer, looking for any sign of that familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
Right. No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big, I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zack and Ash tonight. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her number. The gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time and not get me a creepy, staticky message. This side of the county has never been popular with the tech savvy after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. After the fourth one, right as it's about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up, the ringing going far too long for my tastes. By now, most of the visitors are already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and an eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they're ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the mouse's history, and in the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like those old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I don't get to stray far into the ugly line of thought, however. Not a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss
Called
Cooper
it.
called earlier and...
Help me.
Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman from beyond the foyer. My hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one hearing this. There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out. No one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious, towards a door on the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives into fear or stories lacking factual basis, like Ash, the vague, restless feeling I have earlier immediately returns to me, and despite myself, my heart begins to race, and my breathing quickens.
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come to the other side, but nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging into the room. I wait for another second, and then, with a caution, I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me. Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
No, it's a...
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door as if any second now the cries will start again or whoever's inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my... Sorry, a weird brain fart. Through the haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from the total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somewhat comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note that my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. Doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. Girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie, may I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile still, friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed up on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over the small group gathered at the entrance. A couple? Siblings? And another woman. Probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different to... Whoa. Anyone else see the black aura behind Luke? 'Cause that's weird. I thought there was something wrong with my monitor, but yeah, that's a black haze if I ever seen one. Either way, they look no different than other guests. All three of them firmly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any form, but their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's advice would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is, her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the five of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment. Fleeting shift of my eye.
Monday for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup. Aren't you, Marianne?
Cue ominous music.
You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we?
Oh, I don't like this.
In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Lol. Looming. Hovering over his shoulders. Drawn to him like a moth to a flame. A dark blur. No. A shadow?
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Is something wrong with the audio?
You heard her, love. She's busy. You heard her, love. She's busy.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend.
Okay, that's definitely the game.
You never let me do anything fun.
But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping the nearby door for support. Sudden nausea drowns out their voices of what little sound there is, all except for the whispers and laughters. Judging, mocking, taunting, muffled, unaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binds tightening with every syllable, every utterance, and with each broad breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss. On, and on, and on, till the sounds turn into mere distant echoes, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade and my eyes snap open. When I look at them again, it's gone.
You can head back to the car first if you want, Luke. I hope that settles everything, Rose. I don't know what Isabel's problem is, but please make sure she doesn't hurt herself. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds, only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it. And even if I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her. There's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a great mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we're going to... hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
Speaking of green, why did I not question this before? Her hair is green. Is green hair... This is the anime thing, isn't it? I think I've questioned this before, actually. No one has natural green hair, I'm so sure of it. Oh, watch me be wrong. I'm gonna look this up. Natural green hair. That's what Actually, no one has pink hair either, but... Why don't humans have natural blue hair? Science folk. I'm not reading this. Okay, they don't have. Okay, I was right. Alright.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabel is right. I was, and still am, a little feverish when she visited me at school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function. It did get better after lunch. I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when let me give this another shot. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but. I simply must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My favorite muddled mind has started to confuse things. This doesn't let up. I just need another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything on the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes. On the dot, I guess. And my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabella is no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Or at least, that's what the few staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went. But I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxborn she frequents, and while she's never been the complex kind, it doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, it's odd she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put! I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
Okay. In the end, all Miss Cooper could give were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxborn, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. A small avenue where it's located has been closed off early for any passing traffic, to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary mostly. And like I surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over their little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness! Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both my hands, but I ignore in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my questions, she looks pretty much like she would be any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next to her, next door. If I hadn't checked on her, then she probably would have died on her bed with a what? That's a little extreme. It's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teaches you something about a person. If anything, it also gives me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as he can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet, even before she says anything, I already have a hunch how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good.
Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. What? She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check the said injury myself, even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing like none of us can be bothered to act like full-grown adults we're all supposed to be, including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone? In fact, if that super smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand's still mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in each syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on their own after being told to stay put? After that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence follows when I mull over their words. Both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest part of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
I mean, we already established that Rebecca likes Ashton, Ashton likes Isabella, Isabella... Sort of unclear on Isabella. Maybe she likes Ashton for how much she talks about him? And, Zachary's just like a big teddy bear. Yet, try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head, like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in this short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake is it about... For whose sake it is this time though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not, but if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens then snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty. So many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with such certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod to the face of it. Before I can get a grip on myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca.
Oh, I'm curious to what she's thinking while she's watching the movie because we didn't even get to her perspective there.
It's always been you with him, isn't it?
Oh.
Did you say something?
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly, without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. Oh, I forgot about this. Wait. Oh, right, they see it beforehand. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging truth in their story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds right now? Rivens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
So to clarify, the letter itself is true, but up until the send this to 5 people. Cause that's what the students who found out in Marianne's story wrote down. Help me is all, I believe, something that the ghost wrote or something like that. Something. Help me is tied to the ghost, but send this to 5 people or else is not tied to the ghost. Is just a spooky thing that the students did, and they died for it. Was it worth it? Maybe. It doesn't give me the time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
Scary face.
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all of this, and however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off. Slams the door right on our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her, when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold onto it. Regardless of how upset she is, soured expression and bald fists throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman, that. Words form at the tip of my tongue ready, but before I can open my mouth and let it all out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look at him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her.
See? Zachary, best guy. As much as Rebecca tries to be mother hen, I feel like she's just pretending at this point. Because she has as much of a temper as Isabella.
And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. Hell yeah, he is the true mother hen. Or papa hen? This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give. Yet, here he is, trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Besides me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to its usually nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping at the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks, always an open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is almost as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled into a smile, though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the same one she would show when she has no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I've already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, my stomach is rumbling, sorry. If you hear that through the mic, I apologize. I expect her to run to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us. Really? Oh, that's right. Rebecca's 29? Yep. How old is Zach? 31. What? Seriously? He doesn't look it. 30. Wow, Zach's as old as... They all look so... it's the anime-ness. Less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet, here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, watching the opposite play out right now. Somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
Alright, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world, how everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around, how easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges, how she draws people to her with ease, how Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my eyes from them. From their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles, all before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away from all of it, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Ooh, that is not good. Wait, no, we didn't. So she was just watching the movie? Oh. Well, that's good, I guess. She was interested. Dusk has already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I am hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud, too many people talking about taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah, see ya!
Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell. It could have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want to get is a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, and then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head would turn into a full-blown headache too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming.
Oh my god. Don't do this, Rebecca.
But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled?
Rebecca, don't blame the poor girl for being oblivious in the sight of love. Especially when someone's so interested in her, okay? Maybe it's like a first thing for her, huh? Just give her a break.
All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it.
Damn.
Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation. Just so we'll have something to fill the dead air to replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing, I'm not too keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no, wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry? They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits. Though right now, this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to talk about. Or think about. No, sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more than the background noises to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella.
Oh, I guess she is a little peeved because the whole point of going to the Luxembourg mansion was to pick her up, and since she just up and left with Ashton, she had to drive an extra 2 hours for no reason. That could make someone angry, I guess.
If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier.
It's not unfounded. Like, she did drive an extra 2 hours. Whoop! Sorry.
Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school?
Could be the cold, could be the weird wailing in the mansion, could be that she drove 2 hours and didn't see her best friend to pick up because she was concerned about her. Could be that Isabella's on a binge diet of cup ramen for the past who knows. Could be any sort of things. I guess a lot of people would be worried about someone like her.
Do you want to talk about it?
And just slowly become tired of being worried about someone like this. A long pause follows and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking my car and my grip on the handle tightens. Also could be that Ash is interested, not her, but Isabella, a friend. I can feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary, they're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this moment. Preferably never. Especially when there's already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tried for so long. Where are we with Isabella? We're not well. I think we're not well with Isabella and Ashton for some reason. I wonder if it starts up like that. Yeah, we're not gonna...
And during the open house?
Yeah.
Even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening. I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella?
Yeah?
Pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint my patience allows. Which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. A relief enough for me, perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, all right. You should have just said so. I told you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something.
No, Isabella's a complete airhead. Never mind.
Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever. Just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving?
You don't have a license, so you don't have a choice.
If you want, I can call a taxi for us.
No.
You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
Yeah, but what about the car?
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is a better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing at her. I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Low and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. Few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, the silence, and it's so so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity, every little sound, every little movement more palpable. And with it comes the unease? A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if this were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodged my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swiped on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with one hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. Oh no. Oh no 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 no. No 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 no. A voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back. Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line is a chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Oh my god.
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Get off the phone, you're driving.
Hello? What was that again?
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone. My hand stopped dead for a moment. I spared the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines of my mouth forms into a frown regardless. Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up.
Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Come again?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I mean, this by itself is pretty creepy, so... I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and... maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with other thoughts, I would have probably noticed earlier that it never came from... Fuck! It's in the car! Somewhere right behind me! Oh boy, time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is a face, ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by and the blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it. Little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam in the eyes that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them, more than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as his lips contort into a horrific smile. Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air and the heavens and the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught, and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. Did I just die? It's a brief moment. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brakes in an exact second, I might have. Isabella and I might have. No, I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into. Not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice still beside me still rings in my ears. We're live. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it is not her face when I look for when I finally open my eyes. Ooh, all gone. I expected stains, that little telling marks and creases on the covers to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it was, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. And then there's none. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt that. This stupid flu again. That is not the flu. I had the flu, and that is not what happens. I mean, I didn't go to a haunted house, but you know, that's besides the point.
I need a long rest after this.
I did hear voices. I guess that's just me. Don't mind me. My hands fall uselessly to my side, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, second after second, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Rebecca? Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Oh, what? Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with the heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing at my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca.
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road. Or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
He doesn't have a license.
Don't have a license.
Ding.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
That's a poor reason to get the license. In case for emergency.
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she lets loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home, is what she'd tell herself during the first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not so sure she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I believe that. If there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Why not? Those are hers to keep. If you're friends with someone for 5 years and you still don't know anything about them, I don't think that's a friend. That's more like someone just you know. I don't know. I'm just saying. I guess it's just my opinion though.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
He nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem Well in silence. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind, and the smiles never meant for my eyes abandoned, if only for a brief moment. Alright, we are gonna end it here. I think that's good enough. Alright, cool. Oh, I need a break and some dinner. And maybe dessert. I want some ice cream. Alright, no, I gotta cook up something. Probably some curry or something. Alright, let's That's more than enough. We got through a lot. We got through Marianne's whole spiel. I don't think we met any closure with her. With Lorraine. That's kind of sad. Now we're with Rebecca, who is slowly despising her best friend Isabella because Ash likes Isabella and Isabella is totally unaware of everything. I think Zach might know from a hint or two, but like, come on, man. If it's been like this for a couple years now, you'd definitely be like, yeah, they definitely like each other. Besides that, hopefully Marianne's still alive. And we learned about the truth about the letter. That's kind of cute. That little picture right there. And I don't know. I think once they visit the mansion, that's when they start being cursed. I don't think the letter has anything to do with it. Yeah, I think that's what triggers the curse or whatever it is that makes them being haunted with the ghost. I'm pretty sure the letter is an outlier. It's probably a clue to what the ghost is, but I don't know. I don't think anything will be sort of figured out until we hit Ashton's storyline, or maybe Luke. Maybe it all wraps up with Luke somehow. I don't know. Hey, we did pretty good with Marion. We did pretty okay with Zach. Rebecca's the same. And Hannah's not good with Luke at all. Not good with Hannah or Luke. But with Zachary, we are the best of friends. Gotta improve with Isabella, Zach, and Ashton. And maybe Hannah? I think they meet in the ballroom once during the homecoming thing, right? Not homecoming, it's something else. Housewarming? I think that's what it's called. But anyways, thank you so much for those who stuck around. Hope you enjoyed yourself and my panic attacks. And hopefully less jump scares and more problem solving, mystery solving. Do we ever get to find out who the fuck the ghost is? It might be Takaka, as Kylie pointed out, but I still don't know who she is. Somewhat, maybe Takaka, but like from the other image from Mary Ann's very final moments is that it sort of turned into Lady Ermengarde? I don't know. I have so many questions still. And we're at like the third to last person. Alright, gonna end it here. I'm really bad at intros, as most of you already know. But I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.